beautiful venue to host the final round of Season 3 2017 for the Pro Mazda Championship. Welcome to Watkins Glen International, also known as the beautiful Glen. I like to add the beautiful in there because it's such a great venue. Qualifying coming up next. Stay tuned. What a season it's been. Only a few hours drive away from the luxurious New York City. We welcome you to our final round of Season 3 2017 at Watkins Glen International. It's the Pro Mazda Championship. All coverage today on RaceBot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live around what I called the beautiful Glen earlier on because it definitely is. Lots of elevation change here, 43 meters, just a beautiful circuit, exquisite, exhilarating. All of the above. And we're currently in qualifying, as we mentioned. 8-minute session, 4 minutes left as we look at the track details for you. 5.5 kilometers, 3.4 miles, depending on your units of choice. Only 11 turns here today in the classic boot layout. 4 of those to the left, the other 7 to the right. Lots of right-hand turns, as we know. 18 laps of racing coming up later on. But high top speeds. Slipstream City is another nickname I'd probably add to Watkins Glen, but that's just something to be discussed in the race. As we now see Marcus Hamilton head the time sheets in third. Julian Dunn, Frederick Evers above him. Evers took pole last round, so we'll see if Evers can possibly do it again this round, although he didn't take race win. It was Marcus Hamilton, I should say, who actually crossed the checkered flag and took the victory last round out. So let's have a look how they all go here. Weather, of course, overcast, 21 degrees track temp. And what I mean, I'm excited right now to see how the championship will be wrapped up. We'll have a look at those standings in just a moment's time. But I'm alongside Jake Sperry for this event. I'm Jonathan Simon, Hugo Luis in production behind the scenes. Jake, this circuit we spoke about, lots of elevation change, as I mentioned, but the overtaking points here, is there really a good spot, or would you consider everywhere a great overtaking spot?
There is certainly going to be some very interesting overtaking opportunities. No chicane here in this classic boot layout, so the run to the carousel is going to be so important here today. If you can't get it done at the carousel, maybe up towards the heel of the boot is a very good opportunity, and the final corner is always a chance to make something happen. Still looking at qualifying, Julian Dunn, 139.604, doing well, but Frederick Evers of the Thrustmaster Movano team, one of their new recruits here, looks for 0.3 of a second rounds through turn number 10. Turn 11 coming up, Johnny.
Yep, here he comes to the end of the lap. So now, he's made a mockery of the final corner, but I think he's picked it up on the exit. Here he comes now. The time's creeping into the 39 range. Evers across the line, and he only improves to 4th position at the moment, surprisingly. So our pole sitter from last round at Sebring is not able to capitalize on the timesheets right there, but Scott McIntyre joins Julian Dunn on the front row, Jake, and a brilliant qualifying performance from Scott.
Yeah, Scott McIntyre, a driver who seems to be the jack of all trades. Whenever you see him in any vehicle, he's normally up there or thereabouts. But talk about the championship rivals. Arnoldus, the championship leader, can only manage position number 6. The good news is his rival is only position number 10, so he's got 4 spots to work with on this, and this is a stacked field from top to bottom.
Yep, standings right now. Arnoldus, as you mentioned, currently in the lead on 1,175 points, just ahead of Gabriel Perez. Now, Perez last round only finished 4th, and Arnoldus was ahead of him. He qualified 2nd, finished 3rd. So for Arnoldus anyway, he's got the momentum coming into this round, if you want to put it that way. Right now, though, as you mentioned, Jake, Arnoldus 6th, Perez all the way down in 10th. It's not really, definitely not what he needs here for the final round to take this championship.
No, it isn't. And when we left suspended last time, the difference was just a solitary point. So this race will be effectively here today, Johnny. Whoever's higher wins the championship. But qualifying's over. I believe you have the grid.
Yep, qualifying all but over for the final round of the Pro Mazda Championship. And you know what? Track record, very, very close to it in the race. So Alatalo set this with a 1 minute 39.515, but it's Julian Dunn on pole, 39.6. Let's see if they can get close to that in the race. Joining him on the front row is Scott McIntyre. Along behind them is Alexander Huvenen and Frederick Evers. Filippo Orlandi and Martin Arnoldus. We spoke about Martin going for the championship. He heads that 3rd row, followed by Marcus Hamilton and Bruno Fernandez in row 4. Rounding out the top 10, Andrew Picario and Gabriel Perez, Arnoldus' championship rival. Is that a good starting spot for him? We know how easy it is to overtake here, so from 10th, he'd be a little bit optimistic of his chances to move up the order. Joseph Newman, Stevan Rosgen in row 6. Behind them, it's Hernandez, Rademacher, Putakils, Soto Jr., Paddock, Aoki, Brinkley, Jean-Michel Noyon, and Andrew DeYoung. Rounding out your field. 21 cars out here in the field today, Jake. Just what we needed. We only had 16 last time out. So good to see that we're going to have plenty of overtaking later on in the event.
Yeah, bigger split, but very crucially, it's cold track conditions. Overcast, 21 in the air, 21 on the track. It's cold tyre central here today, Johnny, and that's going to prove a nightmare for all of these drivers to make something happen. Worth noting as well, P2 and P3 between Scott McIntyre and Alexandri Huovinen, equal times on the grid. Very interesting to look at.
Yep, so we're getting ready to take to the grid for today's event. Don't forget, in just over 12 hours time, you can catch RaceSpot Race Day action as well as the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That will also be on RaceSpot TV, streaming live from iRacing Live. Here we go now, waiting for the red lights to illuminate. Oh, did Evers creep there from 4th on the grid? I caught that. A green flag here for 18 laps of racing. Look at McIntyre close the door on Huvenen, and he has to slow down, and he's swamped from everybody else behind as we head into turn 1, but it's Julian Dunn who leads so far. McIntyre and everybody else goes wide. Julian Dunn goes off, and oh man, from pole position, it was clean. Made a mockery of the start, and here we go, carnage going into the next few corners.
Unbelievable start, and everyone's still reckoning as Everett Paddock, 3rd in the championship, hits Julian Dunn, who had that big moment. I told you, cold tyres will always be an issue here at this circuit, and it was very similar, Johnny, to what happened in a Formula Renault race just about half a season ago, which happened with Ricardo Castro-Lado. But for the race lead right now, in towards the carousel, Alexandri Huovinen, Frederick Evers in 3rd, and now Scott McIntyre for TNT Racing, looking to get the lead down to the left-hander. Can he hold it around the outside? They stay side by side for now.
They do, and where are our championship challengers, by the way, because this could be Arnoldus seems to be out of the event right now. Gabriel Perez in 6th. This could really change our championship challenge right now as Huvenen still leads, McIntyre behind. Look at the scrap between Bruno Fernandez, Filippo Orlandi, and Frederick Evers now as they go alongside each other. Heading into turn 8. Still alongside each other here. There, Evers picks up a little bit of dust there on the exit. Now, I saw Evers at the start, Jake, just creep off the line ever so slightly, so we'll see if he has a penalty for possibly jumping the start.
Well, it all depends on how much he jumped. There is a tolerance level here. When you get off the line, you get a set amount. Whether he's hit that amount, that's a different question. Rounds the final corners, got away with it for now. He has 3 laps to serve it in case he does have that penalty. Question is when he serves it. At the front, though, Alexandri Hovinen has a 0.6 of a second advantage. And crucially, for position number 6, Gabriel Perez, the question is, he needs to keep it on the island, 17 more laps, and the title is very much his. If he crashes, it's game over.
Yep, so let's have a look at the replay of the start now at the end of the first lap. And that's where we saw Evers just ever so slightly creeping up the line. But look at Scott McIntyre. He just absolutely defended from Alexandri Hovinen, who eventually took the lead, ironically, there. He was impeded the most by Scott, who just went straight to that inside line quite aggressively. The number 3 and then of Orlandi as well, trying to make it 3 wide. But then you saw the spin there, Jake, by, I mean, Julian Dunn. What could he have done differently? Just a cold tire mistake, correct?
Yes. The issue that he had was he was starting to lose that vehicle as he was coming off the exit of the corner. Tried to correct it. Snap oversteering this vehicle is an issue in colder conditions, and that's why we saw the big turnaround and everyone scattered to 6s and 7s. It reminds you of Alexei Usyakala and his incident he had in the World Championship about 3 years ago. But there's not much more you can do in that situation. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. You need to have a setup that is very stable. But as we knew, Dunn had a very, very quick setup on him, enough to get pole position. And with that, maybe it was just one of those things where he compromised his race setup by qualifying the way he did.
You know what? Looking at Arnoldus in that replay at the start, he actually just lost it all on his own. So he went outside at turn 1 and just completely bended on his own. Did not really make contact with anybody else. So that's just absolutely heartbreaking if he does lose the championship based on that error. But back to the lead action here. We know this venue is Slipstream City. McIntyre 3/10 behind at the end of that lap. And he's got a chance here going into the carousel, possibly, if he can stay in the slipstream.
Yes, he does. It's such a big draft here as he looks to try and close that gap. 3/10, 2/10, 1/10 of a second. He looks, and maybe to the inside. Defended is there by Alexandri Hovinen. To the outside now and trying to track it. Tries to get himself in, but he'll get washed out there on the outside. That will allow Bruno Fernandes back into play, who looks to try and shut the door. Does McIntyre? That won't work then as they head down into the chute. And a big wiggle there and locks up. That forces the driver of Bruno Fernandes out wide. And the reigning champion, Filippo Orlandi, goes through and takes position number 3 away.
Yep, good stuff from Filippo Orlandi, who will not really have a chance to defend his title, or you never know. I mean, you know, drivers get drug tested, something happens. No, that won't happen for sure. But Orlandi there in 3rd, going into the boot. It's just so close there behind with these top 5. So everybody's separated here in the top 5 by 1.8 seconds. That's incredible. And look at Frederick Evers now having a look. Oh, he goes back behind Bruno Fernandes. Thinks better of it here going into the final couple of corners. And then this will end lap 3 of the event. And we'll look at the standings as Hovinen leads another lap of this event. He's led all of them. But 7/10 behind is Scott McIntyre, Orlandi, Fernandes, Evers, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Gabriel Perez, who's going for the championship, currently in the 6th position, but he's not in that top 5 group right at the moment. So maybe with a bit more scrapping away, he can join him. And we have to wait a long way for Omar Soto Jr., followed by Aldous Putakils. I can't even pronounce that name, Jake. I'm not going to bother, as back to the lead right now. Everybody seems stagnant this time around going into the carousel.
Yes, they do, and that's the thing. It was 7/10 of a second across the line. You've got to be within half a second with just how much you can really gain using the toe. Sometimes these vehicles are used in oval circles, so they are effectively the Indy Lights of iRacing right now, Johnny. They have such a heavy amount of draft on them. It is crucial for them to work. I have been looking actually at Aldous Puteklis there, just behind, and he has damage to his front wing. That's going to be really affect him, as Stefan Rostjan will be looking to try and get his way through sometime in the not-so-distant future. But Omar Soto, a driver we normally see up towards the front, struggling a little bit, but he's +9 for the day so far. Part of that has to come down to that big first lap incident.
Yeah, but Evers went through there on Bruno Fernandes, so Evers now into the 4th position. He continues away, and he's actually got the pace, I think, at the moment. We know what happened last round after his pole position. Still finished second, so with Marcus Hamilton effectively still in the event, or it's out of the event, excuse me. So it's good chances here for Evers to make his way back up through the order if he has the pace. At this track, Jake, though, it's more about, you know, sometimes if you have the pace, you just have to time the overtake right, because if you make the pass early on, you could be passed going into the carousel. You just have to make sure that you time it all right.
You certainly do, and Scott McIntyre's got a better chance than anything. Missed the apex slightly, did Huovinen in towards turn number 1, had to correct on the exit, and now to the outside. Maybe a little bit too early for Scott McIntyre's liking. Pulls alongside, then tries to pinch the man down to the insides. They tried to both run the centre line. He didn't get enough toe, though, coming up through the S's. That's going to allow Huovinen the inside into the carousel, and once again, Scott McIntyre will have to wait in line. This time, he's got the driver of Orlandi behind him trying to make that move, but again, he won't be really fussed down into the chute as he has a little pier down to the inside. Not much to worry about, but look at Frederick Evers in the Thrustmaster Movano machine. Straight up onto the rear to make it a train of 4 once again.
Yep, Evers has the pace, and that's... I thought there was an issue there with Orlandi, but he's picked it up on the exit. Here's Evers, though. He could have a look here for P3, and he is rapidly making his way up the order, so going into the downhill braking zone. And it's such a lovely corner there. Throwing the car in, the camber helps you carry a little extra speed going into this corner, and then the blind left-hander there to win the lap of turn 9. Here they come now to the final couple of corners again. You know, Alex Santeri has actually led every lap of this race, as I said, and he's going to lead another one. His chances are very good at the moment to take this race win, Jake. I know it's early, but he's remained solid. Just about how he finishes this event now.
Yes, at the end of this lap, we hit 1/3 distance in the race, so holding 1/3 of the laps is very well, but he gets a whole lot of wide there. Coming off the curb, you can extend as much as you like. You've just got to get back into line once again out of turn number 1. Look at how Scott McIntyre now is going to close down that gap. He'll wait this time to try and get himself an opportunity off the exit, and he gets it beautifully then. 2 wide, we're going to make it. Orlandi now trying to get as much of the toe as possible, potentially to make it 3 wide here as they come down to the carousel. They pass the bus stop section. He looks for it, does Orlandi. That's not going to work, so 2 wide will stay. And look who's stuck in. Look at Evers down to the inside. He'll take position number 4 away. Now to position number 3, and now side by side for position 2.
Oh, McIntyre's run deep, and he almost collected a couple of drivers. He almost collected Huovinen there and Evers, so they both continue. And Evers now remains in P3, though. He's made progress, which is the most important part. Here they come through the right-hander. Dust kicked up into the air as they run just ever so slightly wide. And this will be, as you mentioned, at the end of the lap, 1/3 of the distance through. And it's been quite exhilarating, this event. I think breaking away from this group is going to be the toughest part. Unless somebody makes an error, it looks like this is what it may be for the rest of the race. And, you know, as I said, Jake, because the slipstream's just such a big advantage here.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we're only down now to, I believe, 13 vehicles. Stefan Rosgen has managed to find himself down on pit road now, and that toe is really becoming a major factor in this one for the top 5. And don't count out Gabriel Perez there. He'll just sit an island on his own, do the Alain Prost roll, what he needs to do to take the title into the 90, turn number 1. No issues this time for Alexandri Huovinen, but McIntyre gets the issues now as Frederick Evers, who is one of the most underrated drivers in the world of sim racing today, now has the opportunity to look then to the outside. They go through almost contact between them. That was a little bit of miscommunication between the two there, Johnny. And look at that. Huovinen now starts to apply the weave and now plays the defensive role. Look at this.
And he's boxed in. McIntyre's boxed in by Evers, who has a shot here around the outside for the lead. Here he goes, throws it into the carousel, and Evers gets the lead there. 2 for 1. Brilliant stuff by Frederick Evers.
Oh, that's absolutely sensational. Look at the defense from McIntyre and Orlandi. You just don't know where to look in this leading train of 5. But Frederick Evers, well, I was hyping up and saying he's underrated. I think he's earned a paycheck after that 2 for 1 special. And, well, now Alexandri Huovinen has to do the battle then from a little bit further back. And if anyone is going to try and break away, Frederick Evers seems to be the man who will be looking to try and make that happen on the brakes, up the hill, in towards the hill. And look how deep McIntyre's gone. Lucky lad there. Any closer, he would have taken the rear straight off of Alexandri Huovinen, and he's struggling.
Yeah, McIntyre is definitely struggling, as you said, so he's dropped off the pack now, and the top two could break away unless McIntyre has anything else to say for it. The disappointing thing is Gabriel Perez is quite far off this group now. He's 2 seconds off Bruno Fernandes, who's in 5th position, and just no progress being made. So as you said, unless he's taking it easy, if this is his full pace, just wonder what would have happened if Arnoldus was still in the event. But Evers still leads, and that's the first time we've had somebody other than Huivenen lead a lap in this event. They now come through the long straight once again. Alex Zanteri back to the lead. Quite simple there. That was candy from a baby right there, and now he goes defensive. Evers now has to look out for McIntyre, but I think he's quite far behind.
Yeah, he certainly is. So now Scott McIntyre playing defense with Orlandi there as the front four all have their battle. Look how much more pace the driver of Frederick Evers can hold through the carousel. They touch, and round goes Alex Zanteri, who over and straight into the Armco, and that's all she wrote. Alex Zanteri, you have to feel for him. He played the defense perfectly. Evers just did not slow up.
Oh, wow. And what a race it's been from Alex Zanteri. We'll have a look at the replay, but that rear wing is absolutely... Yeah, he's out of the race. That's damaged.
Oh, there's more contact. They're all around.
Oh, Evers off the track. McIntyre out of the race. Orlandi out of the race too. He's got broken suspension. Who's in the lead? It's Gabriel Perez. Who would have thought? And we'll keep on the replay for now and have a look at this. But Gabriel Perez leads the race. Every single driver in the top 5 is currently out. Wow.
You can't write script like that. That was all Evers losing it after having that damage to the front wing, and you can see he holds his hands up instantly and claims guilt for it. And with all 4 of those top 4 drivers struggling about it, who would have thunk it? Gabriel Perez now has the lead of the race from absolutely nowhere. Keep it on the island, and I think this race is his. We're half distance, and it's 4.5 seconds back to Omar Soto in second.
Oh, wow. So I think that's a comical incident right there, and Evers definitely the one to blame. Not intentional though, obviously, but he does apologize to all the drivers behind the scenes. So we need a rehash here. 10 laps remaining. Perez in the lead, Soto Jr. second. Bruno Fernandes actually continues, so I'll take that back. Bruno Fernandes, the sole survivor of that whole incident. Fabio Aoki and Ismael Hernandez in 4th and 5th. Rest of the top 10, Putplis, Rademacher, Jean-Michel Noyon, Andrew de Jong, Filippo Orlandi is out of the event. So 9 cars remaining at least, although we may actually have, 11 cars remaining. We're still waiting for a couple more to make their way past those crashed cars. But wow, I mean, I'm still speechless. I'm still wondering, was there anything the drivers behind could have done, Jake, with Evers spinning? Could they have slowed down a little bit more? But it's just they weren't expecting that, you know?
Well, the difference there coming out of that exit, it was a double shift that we're getting word of from Frederick Evers. And when the vehicle turns around like that, the fact that they were all nose to tail stacked up, they've had an instant they've tried to get around, tensions are high in a driver's mind. And that instant alone, there was really no way you could have gone. There's no way you can anticipate the way that Frederick Evers was just spread eagle across the circuit. And the toe of the boot is one of the more difficult corners, especially with the area of the circuit being a blind nature when you get up the hill. So not really too much you could have done. You can't really apportion blame to everyone else. But what it does do, it means that we have other characters here in the battle. Look at this. Andrew de Jong here in the 15 against Jean-Michel Noyon in the 21. This is going on for position number 8 overall. And what crucial points this will prove to be for all of these drivers down the lower end. These are massive championship points.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like Perez may actually lead this championship by the end of the event if he does keep it on the racetrack. So we don't want to talk about that too early. But here's de Jong now behind Jean-Michel Neon across the back straight, and Andrew de Jong there. Is he going to make a move? I'm wondering. He doesn't have the top end speed, so here we go around the outside. This was similar to Evers earlier on in the event, and de Jong makes his way up into P8. Simple move there, and Jean-Michel behind will just tuck right in, and this is where the infamous incident happened. You can see the tombstones of everybody in the top 5 here. coming up at the toe, turn 7, uphill right-hander, and Jean-Michel cannot fight back, so easy move there for Andrew de Jong.
Yeah, an easy move there, and Andrew de Jong now up into that position number 8. Will look to try and break away, but isn't able to have that at the moment. And just looking further up through the field, Ishmael Hernandez is now dropping backwards right now here, Johnny, because Uldis Putekilis now has got up into position number 5. In the space of 2 laps, Ishmael Hernandez has dropped 2 positions overall, and the big benefactor of that, look at that front wing, front right there, really damaged on the vehicle. That's going to be hampering him on top speed and on his downforce.
Yep, exactly. So, turn 1 again. Hernandez runs it very, very wide. You'll see a few drivers do that this afternoon, and it's normal. It's nothing that will be penalized as well. They are allowed to run wide there at the first corner. They come across the back straight. Now, Ishmael Hernandez is about half a second behind the driver in front, so he's got no chance of making his way through. But track temp is 21 degrees Celsius as well. We're not looking at any pit stops in this event anyway, too, so we know that the drivers have plenty of fuel compared to what they're limited to actually complete this event. So don't expect pit stops here today. None needed. And I want to see if Orlandi, for example, he's out of the event, isn't he? So no Orlandi, our championship our championship winner from last season. No Arnoldus, who's going for the championship. Our race winner from last round, Marcus Hamilton, he's out too. So many big names out. But for Gabriel Perez, Jake, he's got one hand on the trophy so far. And he is on his way for the Pro Mazda Championship for Season 3, 2017.
Not yet. And I will say why not yet. Omar Soto closed half a second on that last lap, and if those two start battling, what's the chances of another incident happening with Gabriel Perez? He's got to stay so calm under the pressure that Omar Soto in the number 2 is applying. Gap across the line was 3.9. Now that gap extends now to 4 seconds, so slightly quicker this time from Gabriel Perez. He understands the threat, so he's managed to increase his pace. Omar Soto now has to close at a rate of about 0.6 of a second a lap, and I'm not sure he can do that. What about Uldis Putekilis against Fabio Aoki, though? Position 4 still up for grabs.
Yep, so last lap around, Omar Soto Jr. was half a second up in the first 2 sectors, but then lost a 10th in that final sector. And right now, it seems as if, as you mentioned, he is catching Gabriel Perez. But, you know, I think, anyway, Jake, it still is, as we look at the battle for P4 here between Putekilis and Fabio Aoki, it looks as if Gabriel Perez, it's just not going to be enough time coming into the event. I think Soto Jr. right now, he's going to leave it too late. He doesn't have enough, he's not close enough to Perez, I should say, to take that championship away. And if anything, I think even if Perez doesn't win the race, he should still have enough points. It's just about avoiding the battle.
It is, and you don't want to be ending up in any sort of issues towards the end of this race. We've seen so many drivers gain positions already. Aoki up 13 positions now to where he is at the moment. You've got the likes of Putekilis, who's now up 11 positions. You've got the likes of Omar Soto, who's up 14. Perez is up 9. You talk about all these drivers who's gaining. Nguyen, he's up 12 positions overall. This is a fantastic race from certain drivers. It just goes to prove to you, Johnny, keep it on the straight and narrow, keep it on the island, and there are going to be always chances to gain more positions, more points, and that is the key to racing. There's no point trying to go at it all guns blazing and hope that you get yourself avoiding all the incidents, because you roll the dice in racing and sometimes you're not going to hit a 6.
Yeah, but there is still a fight for that final podium position. Bruno Fernandes, Putekilis, Aoki all still scrapping away here as they go across the back straight one more time with 6 laps remaining, 2/3 of the way through. Here's Putekilis around the outside, goes straight past Bruno Fernandes. Fabio Aoki has the, look at him slingshotting here on the back straight, weaving left and right, and he takes the inside line. So double whammy for Bruno Fernandes there, and he loses 2 positions heading into the carousel.
Not much he can do there. The damage is on both sides of the front wing. It's like trying to drive a milk truck right now, and there's nothing that Bruno Fernandes can do. He will drop further and further back in this event. Ishmael Hernandez, though, will be the next driver looking to go through. And even Ishmael Hernandez, with his damaged front wing, was 1.3 seconds quicker on that last lap. So only going backwards now is Bruno Fernandes. He's trying to salvage the best out of a bad situation. But with so many incidents today, Johnny, there is one more factor we need to talk about, and that's the incident cap.
Yep, definitely. So a few drivers need to avoid that come the end of the event, and especially these three battling for that final podium position. So Particular's great event from him so far. He did start this race from 15th. Aoki started in 18th. So all of these drivers making their way up the order. Bruno Fernandes, we know, started in the top 10. Remarkably, everybody in the top 10 right now did not start in the top 10 except for Bruno Fernandes and Gabriel Perez, who are in third and first respectively. Here is Aoki having a look into turn 1, although he thinks better of it. Going into the fast sweeping right-hander. He's going to have a better shot here across the back straight. And Aoki, I think he's caught him a bit too early, so he has to back off the throttle, and that's going to help Bruno Fernandes slingshot his way through behind with the slipstream. But here they go, this battle for P3, ever so important, alongside each other across the straight. And Aoki may just have the edge going into the carousel. Particulars on the inside, Fernandes behind, too far behind to capitalize on this. Here they go alongside each other into the carousel one more time. But it looks like Particulars may be able to take the advantage unless Aoki, boom, slots in the inside. When is this battle going to end? Alongside each other for one more corner. Now going into 7 and 8. Here they come into the toe.
Oh, good effort, but look how wide Aoki is going to go. Here comes Fernandes back into play with the damaged front wing. That's not going to work. And look at the run. He's going to get up the hill. Maybe a chance down in towards, well, up in towards the hill, shall I say. Little bit of a twitch there. Thinks about it once, twice. Not going to work. So they're now Forrester. Now Ishmael Hernandez back onto the back of this group then. And it's just 4 laps to go when they cross the line. That's 4 more opportunities that is going to present themselves. And right now, Ishmael Hernandez has been given a lifeline. Aoki and Putekilis right now having this massive scrap for the podium.
Yep. And so if you're wondering what's happening with the top 2 battle right there, Perez and Soto Jr., it's remained stagnant, that gap. Just about 4 seconds at the moment. So it really is this scrap here for P3. And for that final podium position for the final round of Season 3 2017 for the Pro Mazda Championship. Here they come across turn 1 once again for another lap. And Hernandez, you've said, Jake, he's back into this battle and this charge once again. And can Aoki do anything this time around? He's got a better slingshot opportunity here as they head across the back straight.
Yes, they do. Too wide, too deep. Putekilis has nothing to do with this battle right now as Aoki now goes to the outside. Look at Ishmael Hernandez as well. Make the move around the outside. He tries. They're going to stay too wide, the pair of them. Hernandez makes it work, but the driver of Aoki is struggling to make this work. He'll still have the inside, though, heading into the chute. But as we saw, very easy around the outside. Putekilis tries to make it work. Now has the inside for the next 2 corners out on circuit, and that should be all she wrote down at the toe. And again, that wide line not working for Aoki. He's got to try something different. There's no point trying to go for the same move twice. He gets a much better run out of the exit, though. Now he'll pull it alongside.
Yep, here he goes up the inside. He's got to watch out, though, because this is a downhill braking zone, and he runs deep, and he's almost forced Putekilis wide, too. He just got the car stopped in time on the apex. Here's Putekilis up the inside here, rejoining the NASCAR portion of the circuit, and Putekilis makes his way back into P3. Oh, this fight is heating up right now. There's going to be 3 laps remaining as they cross the line. And there's Perez crossing the line. So he makes it 3 laps remaining. The rest of the field the same. But look at the run Aoki has. He may even get this move done into turn 1.
And Soto closed to second on that last lap, so that's going to be something to keep an eye out on. Also, Scott McIntyre is back out on circuit with heavy damage, so Putekilis and Aoki, Hernandez and Fernandez are all going to catch this group, or all going to catch McIntyre, shall I say, when they head themselves up onto the front of the straight. Aoki is the man under pressure. Ishmael Hernandez looking for any way through, but the damage is going to be affecting his straight line speed, and he'll be waiting, hoping that he can get the slingshot to get himself the double toe down this straight. Look at Putekilis, hard to the inside, nowhere else they can make. Past right is the signal from Scott McIntyre, who goes hard to the left-hand side to make sure he avoids all of it. But look at that, though, around the outside. Fabio Aoki still can't make it happen here, Johnny.
Almost 3 wide going in through the middle portion of the racetrack. Here they come now. Past the chute, going into the toe now into turn 7. Too wide once again. Is that Aoki running wide? God, that's close. Going into the toe. But here they all continue. Aoki still leading this group. Particulars behind. Hernandez is third. Bruno Fernandez fourth in this battle for the final podium position. Here they come now. Going into the boot, turn 8. Bruno Fernandez still at the back of the pack, so it really is between Putekilis and Aoki at the moment. But Aoki at the moment is actually, Jake, look at that. He's got about half a second advantage behind on Putekilis.
Half a second means nothing in this circle. And another 8/10 from Omar Soto. 2.2 with 2 to go. The bits between his teeth. He needs 1.1 seconds a lap, and I think he's got just about enough left in the tank to make that happen. The battle for the final spot on the podium, though, that is also fantastic to see. And Putekilis, for the first time, is behind Aoki. And Aoki runs wide through the 90, and that will compromise his run all the way up through the S's. Look at Putekilis now. Close that gap down time after time after time again. And now, look at this. He's got the opportunity out of 4, now the run to 5, and he'll make that one look very comfortable.
So Fernandez dropped off. Look at the 2 in front, though. I'm worried to even get excited because I know this will change. Aoki, though, may have just backed off a little bit there. Now he slotted himself behind into P4 at the moment. Putekilis in front. Is he going to have a shot here at the next corner? But Putekilis defends well. So that battle between the top 2 now, which I never thought would happen, but it seems as if Perez is taking it easy in these final couple of laps. It looks as if Perez will still wrap up the championship. Finishing first or second to him isn't the big choice right now. He just has to keep all 4 wheels on the racetrack. But as we go into the boot one more time, Jake, it looks like Putekilis is still ahead into P3.
Yes, he is, and Fabio Aoki needs to find a way through, not through this section. You wouldn't traditionally think. You've got to make a really concerted effort to make that happen, though. But the white flag will now be out for Gabriel Perez at the front of the field. Another 140.7, 140.1, though, from Omar Soto. 1.7 in the final lap. It's a little bit far-fetched. I don't think he can do it. The big battle will be for position number 3. Aoki is within range, needs a very, very good 90.
And I think he may be able to slingshot his way here the same way he did a few laps ago out of turn 1. Goes for and trying to straight line the S section as much as possible. Look at the run he's got here on the final lap on Putekilis for the final podium position. Aoki, Putekilis alongside each other on the back straight. And this will be the last time they round this back straight, so that he has to get it done now. Aoki's got his car ahead. Can Putekilis get a nose in front? Going for the inside and throws it deep. They're still alongside each other into the carousel, and Putekilis fights back. He just has to watch that inside line now, and he has to also watch Ismael Hernandez behind, who wants that final 3rd position. They go now. Once again, around the chute, going into turn 7, the toe. Can Hernandez maybe take P4 away? He does. Ismael Hernandez into P4. Brilliant stuff. And going for the switchback is Aoki. So while this happens, we know Perez will keep one eye on him as he rounds the final lap and tries to win this race with a race win and the championship. But it looks like the battle for P3. It is Putekilis in front. Let's have a look at Gabriel Perez, though. Final couple of corners. And what a classy way to wrap up the championship. He had one hand on the trophy. Now he can put the other on it. Gabriel Perez wins both the championship and the race at Watkins Glen, and he is your Season 3 2017 champion. What a race from Gabriel Perez. He's kept it clean the whole time around, and he's given us some burnouts to celebrate too at the same time. Omar Soto Jr. behind is in P2. The battle for P3 at the end. It was Putekilis across the line, and he will take that final podium position. What an exhilarating battle there towards the end of the event. Aoki, Hernandez ended up in 4th and 5th behind. Bruno Fernandez will cross the line in 6th, and he dropped off towards the end of the lap, so he had no say in that fight for the final podium position. Your own Rademacher came home in 7th. Jean-Michel Nayon, Andrew de Jong 8th and 9th, and then we have to wait a long way for Stefan Roskin, who ended up 2 laps behind. He will be wrapped up in the 10th position. But Jake, where do we start? Gabriel Perez kept it clean. A phenomenal final championship round. Would you have expected this going into the race?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have expected your leading 4 drivers all to get involved in the same instant at one corner. You're leading 5, actually, in the space of 3 corners. You know, the circuit does have a tendency to create massive incident, and today it definitely didn't prove an exception to that. 2 major incidents, one on lap 1, one a little bit later on, but to see only 9 drivers on the leading lap, that's not something that you normally expect with 21 drivers over the space of half an hour. But what a championship. If you're on oldest, you're kicking yourself you let that one get away. But for Gabriel Perez, it proves to you clean driving does win you championships.
It does. At a circuit like Watkins Glen as well, we know this is DNF friendly, so not surprised anyway by the results from my perspective. But let's have a look at the final results for this round 12, week 12, season 3, 2017 for the Pro Mazda Championship. And I was just waiting for the music to drop because Gabriel Perez took the championship there. 30 minutes in the end of the event, so he will take the win, and a classy way to wrap up the championship too with that race win, but only just took it from Omar Soto Jr. We know Perez slowed in those final few laps. What a scrap we had for the final podium position with Puticus, Aoki, Hernandez. Those 3 finished in 3rd, 4th, and 5th respectively. It was Puticus who was crowned champion of that battle. The rest of the order, Bruno Fernandez in 6th, dropped off that battle for the final podium position towards the end. We know Jeroen Rademacher finished home in 7th and was quite close to that battle for P3. So if those guys had a little bit of a replicable accident that the top 5 have earlier on in the event, we could have seen Rademacher up there in the top 3. Look at the rest of the order on your screen. Jean-Michel Nayon, Andrew de Jong, the last drivers on the lead lap. We know Stefan Roskin ended up in 10th there, 2 laps behind at the end of the event. Jamie Brinkley, Felipe Orlandi, 3 laps behind. Orlandi, our champion from last season, unable to defend this time round. Our DNF, Scott McIntyre, Frederick Evers, we know what happened there. No need to say any more. Along with Alexanteri Huivinen, who came home in, well, didn't come home in 15th, but he was classified out of the race in 15th. Hamilton behind our winner from last round, only could do no better than 16th position. The rest of the order there, Martin Arnoldus, who ended his race earlier on that first lap, just had nothing. He had no say in this championship battle, and he just binned it all on his own, Jake, there into turn 1. Just not the way he wanted to end his championship at all. How does he bounce back from this for next season?
Well, it depends on what Martin wants to do, whether he said that he's put in so much effort into this championship, whether he goes and decides to race something else, whether he decides to stick with the Pro Mazda. It really is down to what Martin wants, and he's a driver that certainly does have the ability to go out there, win championships like this when he has a vehicle underneath him that suits him. I think he will bounce back very well. I think he is a determined individual who will do very well. And I reckon if he can just improve his qualifying slightly, if he can gain that extra 1/10 of a second, I think he will be a dead cert for the title.
Yep, definitely isn't it? A couple more things before we end the season here. Is this lock him in for a real Pro Mazda drive, perhaps? Is this going to be on the eyes of a few other teams out there in the real world? Because we know the likes of Glen McGee, for example, winning the other championship. Can Perez possibly get that seat? Do you reckon a sponsor will have a look at him and say, hey, look, what a brilliant championship?
I think it's difficult to say in this situation. We know that Pro Mazda hasn't had the biggest amount of following over the last year, thanks in part to the Formula Renault, but if I use Justin Brunner as a good example, he has himself a USF 2000 seat, basically, at the moment, the NX Racing driver. So for Gabriel Perez, if he continues on this path, I don't really see why not.
Yep, definitely. So Gabriel Perez, who has really been the talk of the town this round, and he will take the championship for Season 3 2017. And that will be it for this race, the final round for the Pro Mazda Championship in 2017. What an event it's been in just over 12 hours time. Be sure to check out RaceBot Race Day, as well as the 2017 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That's all on RaceBot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, joined by myself, Will Vincent. Paul Smith will be on the coverage for that, so definitely stay tuned. Get a good rest if you're in Europe or in the US. And as always, what a round we had for this time out for the Pro Mazda Championship. We broadcasted last round at Sebring. Here we've got you the final round, and it was quite entertaining. So we thank you for the action you produced for us on track. Week 13 is next, so take a break, have some fun, keep practicing, testing, working hard, whatever you need to do ahead of Season 4. Check the RaceSpot website at racespot.tv for more information. You can also check out the start for Season 4, which will take place from the 12th to 18th of September, I believe, off the top of my memory. So we know for Season 4 for Pro Mazda, that will be for 22 laps around mid-Ohio. As always, thanks to our viewers. Love you. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Hugo Luis behind the scenes producing. That's Jake Sperry alongside me. I'm Jonathan Simon. We say so long from the Glen.